Hi, my name is Mark Trumley, and my topic is student achievement. Student achievement is at the very basis of our foundation in education. It should be tied to everything that we do. All of our decision making is tied to student achievement because that's what we're here for, and that's why I chose it. And more specifically, I wanted to look at the relationship between student achievement and professional development, PD. The article that I chose is called The Effects of Teacher Professional Learning Activities on Student Achievement Growth. The authors are Motoko Akiba and Guodong Liang. Out of 2016, they identified 6 types of teacher PD or professional learning activities on student achievement data over 4 years. They used 467 middle school math teachers, 91 schools, and just over 11,000 middle school student scores were used in this data collection. The research questions, 3 basic questions that they used that drove their research. What are the levels of teacher participation in informal and informal professional learning activities? What this is asking basically is, with all the PD that's out there, what are teachers actually doing? They wanted to gather as much data on specific types of PD that teachers were using and try and find a correlation between that and student growth. Secondly, how are the levels of teacher participation in informal and informal professional learning activities associated with one another? That question, I'll get to that later, but there are different ways in which teachers perform PD that have a relationship with one another. Finally, how are school means levels of teacher participation in formal and informal professional learning activities associate with student achievement growth over 4 years? The question, why now? Why this research? Very little has been done so far. It used to be teachers were basically out on an island. They're very reclusive, very distant from one another, and I feel like PLCs, professional learning communities, have driven school districts across the country to make time for teachers to collaborate, to spend it on different sorts of professional developments to improve their craft. Why middle school math? Well, all students must take the same standardized test in this instance. And then why professional development? Like I mentioned earlier, schools across the country are using PD to improve student achievement and are held accountable for the data. Truly beginning in 2001 with No Child Left Behind and moving forward through Race to the Top, student performance data is becoming more of a reality for teachers. It's in their evaluations and it's playing a bigger role into what we do. And this is trickled over into professional development. So the main thing that we're asking, that the article is asking, is what really works. You have professional development, which kinds are doing the good things that elevate student achievement. Hopefully that this article will shed a light on what sorts of PD specifically administrators can use in their planning to get the most out of the students in which they serve. This picture reminds me a lot about the misconceptions that there are about professional development. Hopefully that just breaks up the monotony a little bit. So what they used are the Teachers' Opportunity to Learn survey, and they asked the participating teachers various questions on what kinds of PD and that they used and how often. The data collection. The Missouri Assessment Program used in 2009, 10, and 11 with the 2008 score as the baseline data. They determined the 6 types of PD: professional development programs, teacher collaboration, university and college courses, typically grad classes, professional conferences, something that is tailored to the unique needs of teaching. There's a flavor for everybody, and these professional conferences have a schedule. They're usually used for renewing teaching certificates. Also, informal communication. Those can be meetings that PLC members have. They could be meetings between interdisciplinary teams. And then finally, individual learning activities. That might be where a book is assigned to the staff and they have to read it on their own. Very solo activity. And you're going to find out that some of these activities, these professional development, some invite a culture of collaboration and some are completely individual. And that has a lot to do with what works and what doesn't. They also factored in the following variables: time spent on each PD, students that are on free or reduced lunch, percentage of ethnic minority status, school, location and enrollment, professional experience of the teaching staff. So with the analysis, what the findings were, so for controlling individual poverty level, ethnic minority status, gender, teacher qualification, and school background, the major findings are listed below. That 1 hour increase in school average amount of teacher participation in collaboration results in a 0.01 point increase in the annual growth rate in student math achievement from 2008 to 11. And then more surprisingly is a 1 hour increase in school average amount of teacher participation in professional conferences and informal communication results in a 0.15 point increase and a 0.23 point increase in the annual growth rate in students' math scores. Not quite as much of something that might be considered surprising, but there's no correlation in student performance data with teacher participation in college courses and individual learning activities. Both of those, what is key here is that they're very individualized, and the data revealed that the more activities, the more professional development that is collaborative has a higher impact on student achievement as opposed to the individual sorts of and types of PD. So what this means for administrators is that this study presents meaningful information for planning purposes, for scheduling PD, for selecting PD. Teacher collaboration, without a doubt, has a positive effect on student achievement. Informal communication between colleagues helps student achievement. What's tricky about that is that it's not entirely measurable, but the emphasis is that it's collaborative in nature, and that is key. Professional conferences also increase student achievement. Now, what that means is that, number one, we need to create a collaborative environment. We need to choose PD that enables a culture of collaboration. And then also that we allow for choice, personal choice, in PD, multiple options. That way teachers take more ownership. It's tailored to specific needs. So with those two things, the major findings of this article as it relates to student achievement is that PD should be collaborative, and it should also bring choice for teachers to increase the student achievement rate. Thank you very much.